Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, we look good.
You look great.
Chair fast. She's not tagged in it though.
Well, I should be tagged. Oh, my name's spelled wrong, by the way. It's E-M-I-L-Y. Yeah, not E-M-E-L-Y.
Okay, we're starting.
Why it's not working?
Okay. Ready? Okay. Hello, my name is Raymond.
This is Emily, the wife of Raymond, judging by our ring pops here,
Alright.
which I had to pay for, by the way, because my husband refused to pitch in.
Okay. And this is our guest speaker.
Hello, how's it going?
His name is Quincy, and you're watching the Emily and Raymond Show.
Yes, you are.
Today's topic is funny stories, embarrassing moments, and maybe disturbing moments. We'll see how much time we have, but that depends.
Depending on how much time we have. So, hubby, would you like to start first? By the way, these are our red ring pops in time for Christmas. I'm sure you admire them.
Christmas theme.
On camera here. Merry Christmas, and as you can see, we are dressed in glasses and trench coats because we are married, so we have to look alike. There we go.
Okay, so I'll start off the show with my first embarrassing moment for today, recent. I bought a cup of coffee. Large cup from McDonald's. I go put it down on the train. Train's not moving. I go zip up, button up my jacket, and it explodes in my hand. All over the place. But I don't know how, by luck, it misses me, but everywhere else is wet but where I'm sitting. Isn't that weird?
Interesting. That's actually nothing compared to what I went through, hubby. I bet my story's going to be yours by a million, but I was actually on the subway a year or two ago, no, this year actually, and I had carbonated water, a big bottle of it that I had to buy because I was on my rush on my way to work. And then without even thinking, I opened the bottle. Obviously, this isn't carbonated water, but giving you an example, I opened it up, and it explodes all over the subway and goes on people all over. And then the people feel sorry for me, so they went up to me and started giving me napkins and tissues to wipe it up. And then I started apologizing frantically, and then I look to my bag, and there's another bottle of carbonated water in there, and the bag has a hole in it. And apparently the cap wasn't fastened on properly by the manufacturer, so the carbonated water is leaking next to me from a bag that has holes in it. Bag just like this. Exactly. It was terrible. It was horrific.
You have anything you want to share?
Well, something happened today. I was at Evergreen Brickworks in Toronto.
Oh, I love Evergreen Brickworks. Very nice place.
Yeah, it's a really nice place. And we were just walking around, and I have this blazer, and I got it from Italy. And I was looking at it, and I saw there was a little bit of string that was attached to one of my buttons. So, the genius I am, I decided to pull it off. And one of my buttons popped off, and this isn't the cheapest jacket, right? So it was just a little bit annoying, but it was funny. That's where pulling the cord is not a good idea.
Yeah, I remember that SpongeBob episode, when the secret box with the string and the flap coming out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was like.
I have another pretty weird story. So I've been getting a lot of followers on Instagram lately, right? So all of a sudden, the last 2 days, I've been getting these really weird phone calls. I assume it was from Instagram. And both times these two girls that called me, they asked me to sponsor them for breast implants.
Interesting. That's fascinating.
Yeah, breast implants. I'm like,
okay then.
The first girl I blocked. I hung up after 20 seconds. The second girl told me everything about her, where she works, where she lives. If I want to go meet for coffee and then discuss sponsorship. I'm like, I don't make that amount of money to sponsor you for implants. What are you talking about?
That's insane. That is really nuts. Well, let me show you guys what happened to me on the subway in August when my husband wasn't around because apparently he had more important things to do than escort me off the subway. But continuing on here, there was an incident here where a drunk girl, probably around 30, starts sitting on this old guy's lap. You can tell she's really kind of out of it. She's kind of losing her inhibitions here. And then she starts talking to me, and she's like, yeah, you're really skinny, girl. You look good, girl. You must get a lot of sex. And I'm like, thank you for the compliment, but that's actually the opposite of true because I'm a very reserved person. And then she starts talking to these other people who are like in probably early 20s on the subway. And they're like, she's like, you're all dressed up. You look like you just came back from a party. Where'd you come from, girl? And I'm like, I came from a nice networking event. And she's like, what do you do? And I'm like, take a guess. She's like, you look like an artist. And I'm like, what kind of artist? She's like, maybe a model, actress, singer. And I'm like, all of the above. Thank you for the compliment. And then the same night, what happened was the subway train had to stop. So I got off at Victoria Park subway waiting for the next train to come. And then this poor lady who's shorter than me is clutching a knife to her chest. And I'm like, what's going on? Why is she clutching a pocket knife to her chest? Something must be seriously wrong. So then I'm like, is everything okay? And she's like, you see that guy over there? Yeah, he starts like looking at me and starts saying to me, bitch, do you want to have sex with me? And I'm like, okay. And she's like, yeah, you know, when these guys get all rapey, you know, you really got to be careful because you don't know how crazy they are. I mean, they need serious professional help. And I'm like, no, I understand where you're coming from.
Says the one with a knife to her chest.
Well, I don't blame her. Self-defense, where the guy looks seriously perverted.
Okay,
No, I'm a female, and I agree with her. Self-defense. We don't have enough self-defense laws in this country.
Well, since they abolished that pepper spray one, right?
Yes, they did, which is ridiculous in my opinion. But anyway, I side with her. I'm like, oh, I understand completely what it's like to be involved around creepy guys. I had a stalker who stalked me for 4 years, which I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, as you guys know. And I recently just heard from him again recently.
Yeah,
But continuing on here. Yes, any more stories you'd like to share, guest speaker?
Wait, can we share some drinking stories?
Sure, I have a couple of ones myself. Go ahead.
So, I'm gonna tell you a story about the first time I ever got drunk. It was an interesting night. It was, what day it was? It was during New Year's, a couple of years ago, I think 3 years ago, and I was with my friend, and we decided to have a couple of drinks, and I decided, it would be a good idea to try and drink out of a slipper or something like that.
A slipper?
Yeah. So you know how when you try and drink, or like when you drink, it's best to like drink water because you want to get a hangover, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So apparently he was trying to give me a bunch of water, and I was like, no, I'll just take the slipper. So I was trying to drink out of the slipper. And then I realized, all right, this isn't doing anything. So apparently I took my phone and was trying to drink out of that as well.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Wouldn't that damage the phone, though?
No, I mean I just poured it up.
Good Lord.
Try and drink out of it.
Bad, though.
I mean I don't remember any of this.
Wow. You know what else happened to me on the subway just over a month ago? I was at a Maxim events party and everything on October the 1st. And as I'm coming back on the subway, minding my own business, just sitting down. And then this random guy who's a lot shorter than me, even shorter than my husband here, he goes up to me and he's like, oh yeah, what's your name? And I'm like, what's your name? And he's like, why, is there something wrong with me that you don't want to tell me your name? And I'm like, well, it's not every day that random guys start talking to me on the subway. People are very reserved here in Toronto, including myself. As a female, I generally make it a rule that I don't just talk to anybody on the subway unless I know them or it's another female my age. And he's like, oh, okay, well, do you mind telling me your name? My name's Ramiro. And I'm like, oh, and I lied, and I just said my middle name. I don't even think I said my first name. I either said Catherine or Emily. I can't remember what I said. And then he's like, oh, yeah, well, I just thought it'd be really fun to do stuff together. We just met, we're having a great time, and I think there's something really lovely about you. And I'm like, oh, and what would that be? I mean, if you want to get my contact information, we're going to have to hang out a bit more before I give away any personal information. And he's like, oh, well, if you're up for it, I'm kind of feeling kind of horny right now. Want to make out? And I'm like, oh, excuse me. Thank you so much for the offer. I really greatly appreciate it. But I'm kind of taken here. I kind of have a boyfriend who I've been seeing now. I said boyfriend. I didn't say husband. Because he might question, you look very young to get married. Some people are weird like that.
Well, I mean, in my defense, this story does not take place before people started assuming we were married. So.
Exactly. Anyway, exactly. Continuing on. So he said to me, oh, he's like, what's your boyfriend's name? So I made up some fake name. And he's like, oh, how long have you and your boyfriend been together? And I'm like, 2 years. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, there's no harm in just having some side fun. I'm like, I'm a very loyal person. I don't believe in open relationships. I believe in monogamous relationships. When I'm with somebody, generally speaking, I won't talk to other people unless we're just friends, and I will let my partner know if I'm talking to any other members of the opposite sex because I don't cheat. And I don't like people being unloyal or talking to me when they're in a relationship. Well, that's another story for another day. And so the guy's like, okay, well, it was really nice meeting you, but I'd love to do some fun stuff with you some other time. We'll see each other again. And he walks off the subway. At like Greenwood subway station. I'm like, okay. And this really nice Jamaican guy named David, he's awesome. I think I still got I have his phone number on my phone. He'll be a guest speaker at one of our other shows sometime. But he goes up to me and he's like, where I'm from, the opposite sex does not approach ladies like that. We do not approach our females like that here in Jamaica. And I'm like, I can see that. And I'm like, well, I'm not really used to it in Canada either. I'm like, how long have you been in Canada for? He's like, oh, about a year or two. And I'm like, oh, so what brought you up here from Jamaica? He said he had to save 30,000 Jamaican dollars just to go to school in Canada. Or 30,000 Canadian dollars, I can't remember, and I know their currency is a lot lower than ours.
Yeah.
So I really admired his dedication and his hard work. And at the time, I had just been fired from that horrific Nazi cafe that I shared about in the last episode. And I said, I just lost my job yesterday. And I'm like, I'm really struggling, to pay off things because, I'm having issues here. And, yeah. And he's just like, oh, well, don't worry about it. It wasn't meant to be. Everything happens for a reason. You losing that job was probably a blessing in disguise. And I'm like, lovely to meet you, David. And he thought the guy was being extremely rude, and I think he felt sorry for me. He says, I was going to interject, but then I didn't want to get into a fight with some guy. But he's like, I'm a very confrontational person. In Jamaica, we don't take BS in Jamaica. And I believe it. And you know what, David, if you're watching this, and I'll phone you up sometime, I'd love for you to be on the Emily and Raymond show. I totally love that. But continuing on with funny stories.
Oh yeah, that moment's just as random as the other day. So I have a tendency of plugging in my headphones, or thinking I have, and playing music. So I put the headphones in, and in my head, the music is playing a lot of the time, but let's say 9 out of 10 times. No, 1 out of 10. It's not actually playing in my ears. So apparently I was singing Barbie Girl on the train.
I'm a Barbie girl.
Okay, I didn't
it's a Barbie world. It's fantastic.
Okay.
As the plastic, you can brush my hair in places everywhere. Imagination. Come on, Barbie. Let's go, Barbie.
Okay,
Yeah, let's make it entertaining for the audience. I'm sure the audience would appreciate some singing.
Yeah, maybe, tone deaf,
This is the problem with Barbies with curly hair, by the way. This is what happens when you try combing my type of hair in the shower. If you are a Barbie, or you own a Barbie doll, you know how you can easily just brush her hair strands? Well,
yeah, you can brush my hair, undress me
well,
everywhere.
yeah, but I don't like to get hair like this stuck in my comb. And this is the problem with my hair. My husband here tells me that I shed like a dog. And he gets my hair all over his coat, as I'm doing right now.
You and my cat are worse, man.
I know, I shed like a dog, and I end up, sometimes I'll be eating. It's like I have to wear a hair net whenever I'm eating, because I'll get hair in my mouth if my hair's not put up in a ponytail. Or I'll get hair on my food. I'm like, what is this? And I'm like pulling hair from my food here. That is the problem with having curly hair. If anybody knows this, if you guys are struggling with the same type of hair as me, you'll know what it's like. Not just black girls, but white girls too. Irish girls. I have some Irish in me as well, not just British.
I know.
Yes, I know. Did you know that, hubby?
Yeah, you
did.
told me this.
I did.
I listen half the time. I just have selective memory.
I know, dear. Well, I did tell you that my grandmother, who's long since passed away, my father's mother, was Irish.
Yes.
And that's how I get my Irish blood. Let's continue on, dear.
Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, so that Barbie girl thing, that was one day, and then earlier in the week, I'm waiting for her. She took like 3 hours to meet me at the station.
Yeah, I take 3 hours. I'm so unprofessional. I'm so not
I'm just
punctual.
standing there, listening to
terrible.
music and all, and I'm just singing in the middle of the station.
Singing? You're singing in the middle of the station.
And she's calling me.
Hello, hubby. Hello, Earth to hubby.
Yeah,
Planet Earth. We're not in La La Land.
I didn't even hear her. I'm like, something told me to just look up, and I see her like this.
I'm like, hello.
I'm like, what the hell?
Hello.
My mom does that.
Oh, it bothers me. And then he insulted me and said that my voice sounded like one of his friend's mother's voice who has schizophrenia or something.
Yeah,
That's what
JP,
she told
if you're
me.
watching this, remember I told you,
I'm
she sounds
insulted.
just like your mom.
I'm
yeah?
extremely insulted, okay? And then this hooligan here, this delinquent here, next to me, I had an incident where my hubby told me to put my Caesar salad in a plastic bag, just like the one that I'm holding up here, and then the salad ends up spilling all over the bag, and the contents spilled out of the container because you told me to put it in there. You tried to arrange it neatly.
But it's not my fault you swing your hands like Harry
I don't
Houdini.
swing my hands like this. When you're on the subway during rush hour in Toronto, it is impossible.
But you didn't
not to
go
swing
home
your
during
hands.
rush hour. It was
Oh, I
8
had
o'clock
to.
at night.
Well,
It was
I don't
8 o'clock
care.
at
It's
night.
still crowded at 8 o'clock
Okay,
at night. It was
okay.
a Friday night, whatever
Okay.
it was. It was the weekend.
Okay.
And then right after that, I open up my fridge, and the strawberry jam catapults and flings itself on the kitchen floor and
Yeah,
smashes
she has a catapult fridge.
all over the floor, right in front of my fridge. There's a whole bunch of strawberry jam. It could have been hazardous because the stupid containers the shelves on my fridge door are broken because the landlords refuse to do anything about it. That's another episode about landlord and tenant problems, by the way.
Maybe.
Yes.
That'd be a little too boring for one
No,
episode.
there's lots of entertaining stories. I got horrific stories about landlord and tenant issues, just like horrific
we'll do that when we have
stories.
like a more interactive
All right,
audience.
fair enough.
Any
Continue.
stories you want to say? Anything
I
else
have
you
a
want
couple more stories. I have another drinking story.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
keep the feed rolling.
Yeah.
So it was at the end of rugby season. We like to have like a keg party. So my second rugby season, we had a bit of a keg party, and I was thinking to myself, all right, I have a football game tomorrow. I cannot get drunk. Yeah. So the night went on. I think I was late, so my mom was like, hey, won't you get bring over some pasta or something for some reason? But you know what? Just roll with it, right? So I gave my buddy some free food for some odd reason. But so then, the night went on. The night was young. We had some fun. And someone ended up breaking into a liquor cabinet. So in the end, we had to, the party got shut down. But we had all this beer in a keg, and we were like, you know what? No, we're not letting that go to waste.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we took the keg up to this park area, and the thing is, my buddy's house is on the bottom of this massive hill, and so my buddies, they had to take the keg all the way up on top of the hill to the park.
Oh,
So
terrible.
yes, it was crazy. I mean, I think the thing was half full, but
still
yeah.
Samples 30 pounds, 40 pounds.
Yeah, it's definitely heavy. But so we started partying up there, and it was very enjoyable. And I had a lot of vodka as well, which is a great drink sometimes. So you're sort of trying to get drunk. But the thing is, though, I was like, all right, you know what? It's late. I know my limit. I gotta go. So my buddy, one of my good friends, he offered to drive. I don't think that's how it went. I think it was like, hey, can you give me a ride? He said, okay. So either way, I was like, all right, I'm sober enough. I should be fine. So the thing is, though, I never really took this into account that going down a hill, it kind of sloshes the alcohol around in your stomach. So as I was walking down the hill, every step I took, I could feel myself slowly getting more intoxicated.
Wow. It's hilarious.
So I was walking down, I was like, all right, I feel good. Went down to the bottom, I was like, oh no, this is not going to be really good. And then at the bottom of the hill, I couldn't walk. I was,
boy.
It was terrible.
Boy.
I stumbled over to the guy's car. I opened the door. I think I fell. I don't remember. And I went in, and then he was trying to make conversation with me while we were driving. It was just like, I don't know. I don't think I can talk. And then I somehow got back into my house. But the thing is, we had this kind of ghetto-looking fence, so the dog wouldn't get out. So I was trying to open it up, but I ended up walking into the fence or something. And then I opened the fence, went inside, and immediately crashed in my bed while my brother was saying hey, are you drunk?
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty obvious. I couldn't do anything. But then the next morning, while I had the football game, I was starting. So I don't remember if I did or not. But I was when I woke up, I was so hungover. It felt terrible. So I was puking all the time, and I just it was so bad. And then we went over, had a mother of all headaches, and we went over to the field, and I was just chugging water, trying to get better, and man, it was so bad. So lesson is, make sure you don't walk down a hill when you're drunk. It's not good.
Oh, I have some stories. Are you done? Are you sure?
Yep,
Good.
I'm all
Awesome.
good.
That was hilarious. I've got a really horrific story, which to this day I'm pretty embarrassed to share. I'm not going to lie, but this actually happened just over a year ago at my stalker's birthday. I didn't even share this with you, hubby. That was before we were married.
Okay,
I never actually shared this with you. Anyway, it was his birthday, and I was just kind of bored, and I don't know, I guess I wasn't really thinking. So this was, October 7th of last year. And so what I ended up doing was I was just like, why not? This is a party, okay? I'm not even I feel so young, I'm in high school right now. Why not just do it while you're in the United States? real smart thinking when you're in a foreign country and you don't even have health insurance to be drinking an awful lot. So I'm just like, hey, everybody, you want to come and join me? Nobody's drinking here. I'm going to start. So I start drinking cherry vodka, literally. And then in America, they got like this different type of vodka. I don't know. They have, I don't know, what is it called? Ounces? They have a level of alcohol. Instead of like, we've got 5% or like 40% here. Vodka's generally 40% here in Canada. They have a different system for it in the States. If you've ever tried American alcohol, you've never been drinking in the States or anything?
No.
Okay, I'm the only one here who's done it. I did that at 22 years old. So anyway, I'm drinking, and then I'm like, uh-oh, this is bad. Like the room starts spinning. And I'm feeling really bad. And apparently, his friend is there, the same friend who I mentioned. Shout out to Cody in this video. You were there when this happened. And then I remember there were like stink bugs in my stalker's hand. And then the room is spinning. I'm like, hey guys, want to come and join me in California? I don't even know what I'm saying here. I'm just talking about how I want to move to the States. And I don't give a crap that I'm a Canadian with no health insurance. Completely wasted in the state of New York. So then I'm like, okay, and I start grabbing on to people, and apparently all I remember is I end up in the bathroom. I'm like, no, help me, I'm sick. What am I going to do? I'm going to like die. And all I remember is seeing his toilet. I just remember throwing up inside of his bathroom toilet, and he's like holding my hand, and I'm like, oh, I was so embarrassed.
It's so painful.
It's terrible. It's my first time, like the first time I've ever thrown up from drinking. I've never thrown up from drinking.
I'm the only
before.
one here who hasn't got drunk.
But I've never thrown up from drinking until a year ago. I have not thrown up from drinking since then. I'm not an alcoholic.
I didn't throw up drinking.
Yeah.
Last year, one of my old workplaces, we had a tradition. After every Monday and Tuesday, when we close up by 10:30, we go to the bar down the street and have some drinks.
Yeah.
So one time, this girl who has a reputation for drinking people's drinks, like she'll clear their table and drink their wine and stuff as she's walking back to the area to dump it.
Okay.
So she's a lightweight, and also it's disgusting too. I heard that.
I'm a very lightweight myself. I got drunk off half a bottle of vodka, and I have half a cup of vodka, and I'm drunk.
Yeah, you're like my buddy who I'm gonna mention probably towards the end of the show.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so she wants to challenge me in a drinking competition. Like, are you sure? I don't get drunk. Are you really sure? So that's why we started. I think it was 15 shots of tequila later, 3 glasses of gin, a couple rum and coke, and then some Jack Daniels, like maybe 4 or 5 shots of that. We drank between each of us. We had all that alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else paid for our drinks. It was like $300.
Interesting. Wow. They must be rich.
And I was still fine after that. I beat her. She was gone after the first 20
She's
minutes.
a lightweight, Ray. It's not fair if you weigh more than her. It's not fair.
I didn't though. We weighed like the same, but I think
she's not a lightweight then. You weigh more than me.
Lightweight as in one sip. God, not like your actual weight, right?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so all this, and then I don't know, when someone drove me halfway home, I waited for the bus. So I still wasn't drunk. I got home pretty fine.
Yeah.
But the next morning, I found out I was missing $100 from my wallet.
What? Oh my gosh.
I called my mom. I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened.
What?
I lost $100. So I told her everything I drank. She's like, you're nuts. I went into work too.
Yeah.
I got home at 4 in the morning, went into work for 10 o'clock, still wasn't drunk. Everyone's like, what's wrong with you? How are you at work right now? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, I've never been to a club or anything. So when I go to a club, I'd probably be a very, I'm not going to be fun, apparently, because if you're not drunk, you can't go to a club. Or
True.
Like that.
Well, you're definitely a fighter. You are a trooper, my husband.
It's like,
you're a trooper.
My buddy, I took him to this place, Young and Dundas, some like sushi buffet place. And he wanted to get food. We got about $100 in food. Then he wanted to try alcohol. Japanese beer.
Interesting.
He took 1 sip, and I had to escort him home.
Oh boy, you had to babysit him.
Yeah, I had to take his wallet, pay for the food, and I had to take him home all the way back to his apartment.
Yeah.
Which was like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And the next morning, I'm like, what's wrong with you? He's like, what? I'm like, do you remember what you did yesterday? He's like, no. I'm like, you embarrassed me. That's what you did.
Oh my gosh.
Was this after he was drinking?
He took 1 sip.
Oh boy, that's embarrassing. That's
humiliation. He went to garbage.
Speaking of about one other story that I wanted to share. Underneath this wonderful, fabulous trench coat here, I have a shirt that I bought. Yes, I'm stripping live on camera here. That's what I'm doing. Yes, I have a shirt here that I bought around the same time when I was very upset with my stalker. And this shirt represents what I went through with him. Now, if you read the shirt here,
Would you
husband.
like me to read it?
Yes, please read it for the audience to see.
It's funny. Men are always looking for a good woman, but when they find one, they screw her over and they wonder why we are all crazy.
And then the back of the shirt, hubby. Please read the back of the shirt for
Are
the
you
audience
serious?
to see.
Okay, what the hell happened to men with balls, especially the ones who have the balls to be honest, speak their mind, and not be a sneaky bastard?
Exactly. Well,
Where did you buy this shirt?
I got it custom made. I made up the slogan on the front and the back on my YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, MZ's Life.
Okay, we got to
Please
trademark
subscribe
that
and share.
shirt.
We are going to be trademarking this shirt, and it is going to be sold on my YouTube channel and our Instagram.
Okay, I didn't agree.
Okay,
I'm
just
agreeing
gonna
to this.
do
So
yes,
that's
yes.
fine,
We're gonna
you
do
know?
it. We're gonna do it down the road.
You have all sold.
And my
Yeah, pretty
Instagram, Emily C Official. And continuing on, this also speaks about another guy with the same name as my stalker. Again, not gonna mention names. We're gonna call him Mr. Bad Boy, who's from the same place as Mr. Stalker Boy. So continuing on, Mr. Bad Boy and I met in March of this year. We kind of just hang out at Niagara Falls because I'm bored after work on Saturday, so I'm like, why not? And then the funny incident did not happen until July and August of this year. I decided to chill with him because I'm bored one weekend. I'm like, okay, why not? Let's just hang out, sometime in the summer. So we hang out and everything, and then I'm like, we go to a nice restaurant and stuff, and then it's really funny. He ends up not setting his alarm for work. And by the way, so we don't assume anything here, a lot of people seem to get the stereotype that whenever a girl crashes at a guy's place or a guy crashes at a girl's place, that automatically means that you're doing something sexual. That does not automatically mean that you're doing things. It means that maybe you're tired and you don't have a car and you don't feel like taking a 2.5-hour bus ride back to Toronto. Okay, because as you know, those of you who know me, I'm a very reserved person.
And very impatient.
Yes, I know. That's not one of my fruits of the spirit. Continuing on here. So then he doesn't end up setting his alarm for work, and his alarm didn't go off. He's like, did you set your alarm? I'm like, no, I thought you set your alarm. And I'll give him some credit. He was nice enough to let me use his charger because my phone was dying. Very polite, very gentlemanlike of him. And he's like, crap, I gotta go. I don't smell good or anything, yo. I haven't shaved or nothing, yo. I'm gonna smell like dirt going into work, yo. And I'm like, okay. So he's like pacing around the room, and I don't blame him. I'm not judging him. He's stressed, right? So he lights a cigarette, and I'm like, okay, I don't smoke. And his apartment was kind of filled with smoke. It makes my eyes water. But I'm not insulting you. It was very nice of you to be hospitable and let me crash the night, even though we're not doing anything. So continuing on, then he's like, God is cursing me because I haven't been reading my Bible. There's 3 Tim Hortons in Niagara Falls. Go to the one on Pine Street. And he tosses me the keys. And I'm like, okay. Well, I don't have your phone number. What happens if I get lost? He said, my phone is dead. I don't know. I'll figure out something. I gotta go. So he runs out. He slams the door. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And we don't end up going to sleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. So the guy gets like 2 hours of sleep. I don't even know how the guy does it. How are you not brutally exhausted?
I do that all the time.
Well, yeah, you're as females, we have
I know, females
low
are allowed to
iron
be
levels.
lazy. I know.
No, we give birth. You cannot give life. We have the capable of getting pregnant. We have the capable of getting pregnant. That is not fair to say. I was exhausted.
Okay.
So I'm sleeping on his bed. He was nice enough to let me sleep on his bed. He trusted me, which I I finally find my way to the Tim Hortons on Pine Street. I hand him the keys and I'm like, thanks for having me over. And he's like, oh, Emily, you're taking the bus? And I'm like, yeah. It's kind of a 2.5-hour bus ride. He doesn't say much because he's busy at work. And he looks like he kind of felt badly that I had to travel that far. He's like, oh, okay. We'll see you later. And I'm like giving him the keys. And then I realized, oh, no, I forgot the cup that he bought me from a restaurant. And everything, because the Rainforest Cafe, they give you these souvenir cups.
Yeah, they closed that one down in New York, though. I remember that one.
Yes, but this isn't, you see, the American side of Niagara Falls. So I'm like, oh no, I left it at his place. So I messaged him, I'm like, hey, did I leave the cup at your place? And he's like, yeah, you did. On Facebook. Doesn't even ask me if I got home safely. And by the way, you guys want to know? I had to ask somebody at the Nexus building to give me a ride across the Canadian border so that I wouldn't be stranded in Niagara Falls. I'm nearly passing out from heat stroke. My knees are swollen from the humidity. I'm dying of thirst. And I'm like looking at the GPS and it tells me you got plenty of time to get to the Canadian side before the bus stops running. So I go to the Nexus building and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of lost here. Could somebody tell me directions, please, to the Greyhound terminal on the Canadian side? They're like, yeah, that's quite a hike. You're going to get there in 40 minutes. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to waste my bus money. I spent 25 Canadian just for that bus, 30 Canadian. And then some really nice guy, some really considerate American couple, said the husband talks to his wife, and he's like, hey, Rachel, do you mind giving this nice Canadian lady a ride to the border? She's going to miss her bus, and she's going to waste her money. And she's like, sure, I don't mind. And I'm like, thank you so much. You saved my life here. You're an angel from heaven. If it wasn't for you, I'd be missing my bus and missing my money. All because Mr. Bad Boy didn't have the courtesy, to maybe ask to hang out some other time. I'll take some responsibility. I did ask to hang out with him. It's not completely his fault. I'll take responsibility, but he could have at least had the decency to ask me if I got home safely. I would have expected that much. And then I get a drunk call from Mr. Bad Boy. A month later, he calls me when he's drunk.
That was fun.
Yeah, always fun. So I pick up the call on Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, yeah, hey, what's up? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you do realize the last time we hung out, I almost got stranded in Niagara Falls. You know what the word stranded means? He's like, no, I don't. He's like, what's that? He's like, yo, what? And I'm like, stranded. Look it up in the dictionary. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, you know what? That was my bad. Are you sure you're okay, though? Is there anything I can do? And I'm like, yeah, maybe you can make sure that your collar's working to meet me on the Canadian side if you want to hang out again. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what do you mean, okay? I could have been stranded and passed out from dehydration. What's wrong with you? And then he's like, oh, well, I really think you're a good person. And he's like, yeah, I liked your hair. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I suddenly get all these compliments from the guy when he's drunk. I mean, do you guys as men, I'm talking to the audience here, when you're drunk and you like a girl, I mean, do you tend to compliment her more when you're drunk and tell her how you feel? Or is that just the alcohol talking, you don't really mean it?
It is so much easier to talk to ladies while you're drunk. Well, when two people are drinking, it is so much easier.
I figured.
I wouldn't know.
I figured.
I don't have much of a problem with it, but
okay.
It's just, people tend to be a lot more sociable.
I figured. So, but he's calling me, he's showing me on camera, he's like, yeah, I'm making out with a tree. And I see him on video and his beard is all grown. I feel like saying to him, dude, shave your beard, okay? You got a beard that makes you look like Santa Claus, okay?
Hey, what's November?
No, it was July.
Oh,
in the summer. It was in the summer, so no.
It's not no November,
Yeah, it's not November here. He's wearing his sunglasses, and I see liquor. It looks like liquor in his hand. And I'm like, okay. I can see he's drunk in the hallways of his apartment. He's like, yeah, you're talking to a drunk guy right now. I mean, I come up to meet you, but I kind of can't drive right now because I'm drunk as hell right now. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I feel like I'm going to make descendants with you and everything. I'm like, descendants? But we've only met twice in person. And that's what he's saying to me when he's drunk. And I'm like, well, I'm complimented. I mean, I guess it's a compliment. Thanks for the compliment. I know you're very jealous. You're pulling a face because you're jealous.
There,
I know.
What?
This is before we ran. No, he doesn't want to admit that he's envious, that, Mr. Bad Boy and Mr. Stalker have so much in common. Not only do they have the same name, they both can't commit to women. They're very funny. They're both very immature. And they both went to boarding school with me. And the funny thing is they haven't even met each other. But I think the two of them would get along like a house on fire. The three of us would have a little powwow.
Do people even say that, like a house on fire?
That's me. That's just me expressing it. But this is why I'm wearing this shirt, ladies. Talk about all the crazy men that I used to be hang out with.
Our show is funny stories, not crazy men,
No, that is funny. He drunk calls me and starts saying, yeah, I want to make descendants with you. I like your hair.
Maybe because now we're reaching the close of our end of the show.
I know. Okay, continue.
I guess
you should have been like, hey, don't you want to buy me a drink first, at least? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I know.
Yes, I saw Lisa's comment. I know not all women are lazy, and hello to Keegan.
No, we're certainly not. We are certainly not. I'm very insulted by them. I'm the only woman on this show. And I will speak for the female gender population.
Sent me a text message saying you're allowed to be lazy. So
I never sent you such thing. I must have been sick. With the flu.
Well, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, so
10 o'clock in the morning? I don't think so. Maybe there's female problems. There is such a thing as your one time of the month.
Yes, I know, but then you were just saying you're allowed to be lazy.
You are when you're on the time of the month and you feel like something's stabbing you in the stomach, hubby.
Hey, man, don't you hate when that happens?
You wouldn't know now, would you? Because you're male. This is what, again, females have to go through. I am relaxed. Anyway. Thank you very much.
So, would you like me to bring up that story about the man who keeps losing thousands of dollars?
Yes, please do. Your hilarious friend.
So I have a friend. This guy, I don't know, at this point when I met him in his life, he never knew about checks, I guess, and he was already 19, 20.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I know, stupid. So what he would do, he goes to the bank and take out about let's say $4,000 or $5,000 in cash, put it in an envelope to pay mortgage for his place.
Oh, that's dangerous.
His parents make him pay the mortgage and everything. They say they're too old to work. They're in their 40s.
Yeah.
40s or 50s, which is really weird in my opinion.
And they're paying.
So he has to pay his mortgage, right? All his life savings went into the mortgage. I'm like, you should take the condo because you paid like $50,000 of your life savings.
And it's a condo?
Yes.
What?
Where he lives is like $1 million condo. A very nice condo.
They paid $1 million for the condo.
They paid a lot of money towards condo when they came to Canada, and their mortgage is almost done. Now it's like $40,000 or $30,000. So I'm like, you paid most of the mortgage since you turned like 18. So anyway, back to the story. The first time he did this, he went on the train, got off the train, realized the envelope was gone. He lost $5,000 on the train.
Oh my, he doesn't even care. He's like,
And then he calls me. He's like, I'm an idiot. So I'm like, why? He's like, I lost $5,000. I'm like, I went silent for about 20 minutes. I'm like, what? So he's like, yeah, I was going to pay my mortgage.
Does
and
he
the money
not
fell
know
out
that
of my
money
jacket.
doesn't grow on trees and you don't have a free ATM machine?
This is the same guy who met his girlfriend online and a year later paid her $60,000 OSAP bill. He paid off her tuition.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I brought him into the studio too.
Did you?
So one of my friends I brought in.
Okay.
And yeah, this guy's cool. It was whack as hell. So this is the first time. The second time he wanted an escort, I couldn't go. He took the money and apparently someone robbed him.
Really? Somebody robbed him
So
blind?
that's a total of about $8,000 cost.
Oh my gosh!
Right? And I'm like,
That's hilarious.
and I'm looking at him, okay, man, I need to get you a knife. Like
A knife? A pocket knife for self-defense?
I'm like, you need to learn something, but he's
Oh
so
my gosh.
ditzy. Like,
Ditzy?
if he gets drunk off of one sip of alcohol.
That's
it's the same way.
hilarious. That's
Right?
hilarious.
So the third time, okay, I went with him to see what happens with this money, and I saw what he does now. He goes from the bank, thinks he's putting it in his jacket, but it falls out the back.
What?
And he continues walking, and he doesn't know.
Oh my gosh,
And I'm behind
it's
him. I'm like,
terrible.
this guy is an idiot.
This guy's a fool!
So
Talk about
I
fool.
pick up the envelope,
Awful.
fold it, put it in my pants, and see how long it takes him to realize that it's not his pocket anymore.
Oh
We
my
make it all
gosh.
into his place. He's like, oh my god, where's the money? No, I did it again. Where's the money? I'm like, dude, it's in my pocket. He's like, oh, you tried to steal from me? I'm like, no. First of all,
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't steal from you.
That's
We
hilarious.
have a codependent friendship, right? I wouldn't
Okay.
steal from you. Secondly, I was just proving a point that you need to learn to manage your money better. He's like, why?
Oh
Like,
my God.
because you lost. If I didn't find this envelope, if I wasn't with you today, you would have lost about a total of $12,000.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's terrible.
I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're so ditzy.
It's
Right?
hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So
okay.
we resolved that issue. I made him get checks.
Yeah.
Right? Started doing checks and e-transfers.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything about like transferring money between accounts.
Yeah.
Getting a credit card, all this stuff. So
Oh,
I
okay.
showed him.
Okay.
I'm like, it's weird. I even showed him how to cook.
That's hilarious. You have to teach me how to cook, hubby.
that-
Don't insult me. I don't know how to cook much
I
either.
know, that's fine. I'm not insulting
Okay,
you.
good.
But him,
Good.
I felt bad for him because mom only made rice and butter every day.
You mean rice and beans?
No, rice and
Are
butter.
you serious? That's like what Africans
Yes,
eat. That's
rice
terrible.
and butter, maybe a little bit of gravy, but
He's
that's all.
living in a third world country. It's like he's living in a third world country.
Butter actually makes rice taste a lot better. Like,
Yeah, I know,
take
but that
some
much
basmati
cholesterol,
rice.
like every day?
Yeah, I mean, if you do a little bit, and you can't have it every day. No, that's not good. Like, if you want to indulge, just have a little bit of butter and put it in your rice. You have to make sure the rice is dry,
Yeah.
but it makes it that much better. And it makes it more sticky as well.
Yeah, but
Oh my
he's
gosh.
a very, very strange person. He's a good friend, though.
Yeah, he's also a very nice guy. Very
Nice guy,
considerate
but he does really weird things. Like, he orders chicken wings from a restaurant, comes in a burning hot pan, like the pan-fried ones,
Yeah.
and he picks up the pan itself
Yeah.
and eats the wings from the pan, and he doesn't realize what he's doing until after
Hey,
the
what
fact
about
that
the
his
time
hands
he
are
bought
burned.
rubber gloves and a chicken at a grocery store?
Oh
you
yes,
told
the
me.
day when he first started dating his girlfriend, he wanted to get on protection.
Oh boy.
He was so nervous about it that he bought a whole chicken, rubber gloves, and a box.
Oh my
I
gosh.
went to the cashier, and the cashier's
Oh my
like,
gosh.
"What?" I told me the cashier had no comment, like didn't know
That's
what to really say.
hilarious. That's
So I mean,
hilarious.
in someone's head in the normal world, you buy a whole chicken, rubber gloves, and a pack of condoms.
Oh my gosh.
What is someone gonna think?
That
if
is
I walked
hilarious.
into this station right now,
Yeah.
I'd probably get the most weirdest looks coming up the stairs.
The weirdest looks,
Like,
indeed.
you know, like,
yeah.
you're like, what are you doing with the chicken?
I'd
I'm
be
on camera
embarrassed.
too. There's camera
Oh
here.
my gosh! Speaking of embarrassing moments, ladies and gentlemen, I got something very embarrassing which I would never normally share, but I was on the train one time, traveling from Belleville to Toronto to visit my mother. And I'm looking for my book, you know, The Girl on the Train book by Paula Hawkins. Absolutely excellent book, dear, written by a British author. But getting to the point, I opened up my suitcase looking for the book, so I dig out the book, finally find it. I thought I closed out my suitcase properly, didn't notice that anything had come out of the suitcase, and then guess what ends up falling out of the suitcase just as I'm trying to walk back to my seat with my book? The train conductor points out to me, goes like this, "Excuse me, miss," and holds up my underwear, my dirty, filthy underwear for the entire train to see. Can you imagine how embarrassing that is right now? And normally I would never show my underwear on camera. I'm a very private person, but I'm trying to demonstrate how embarrassing that was. The entire train, so everyone was laughing and going, and like they're like covering their mouths, trying not to laugh. And I'm like, "Thank you." I drop it from his hand, stuff it in my coat pocket, walk back to my seat.
With your hood on your head.
Yeah, with my hood, exactly. Picture me, my hood on my head, and my book stuffed in my other pocket. And I go up to my mom, I'm like, "Mom, guess what just happened to me now?" She's like, "What? She's like, "The train conductor just held up my stinking, lousy, dirty underwear for the whole train to see, held it up in front of everyone, and the whole train corridor saw it. It's a good thing I'm not famous and the paparazzi didn't take pictures of that, because I would have been on the front cover of Us Weekly, okay? Seriously. Humiliation beyond. Oh, terrible.
Anything else? What would you like to say?
How much time do we have?
Oh, I've got a few things I was going to actually share. There was something else that happened to me when I was a kid. An embarrassing moment here. I had a big crush on this boy in elementary school, and on April Fool's Day, we decided to play pranks on the boys, because boys have cooties in grade 5. You know that feeling. So what I did was I took some paper like this, and I put a bunch of ripped pieces of paper into one big sheet of paper, and I taped it all together, and I kind of just like wrote something on the inside of the paper. "I have a crush on you, happy April Fool's Day," or something, when I was in grade 5. And then one of my friends on April Fool's Day morning, on the first one during recess, starts running up to him and hands it to him. This is from Emily C. And then he looks at it, and he ends up opening it up, and all the paper spills all over him. And there was like, I think there might have been dirt in there too, as a joke. So we had to go inside class all filthy. And I used to be known in grade 5 as Carpenter. All the boys would call me Carpenter by my last name, or they call me Ratface. That was my nickname, Ratface. Isn't that an interesting name? So I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah. And I won't mention the name again, because this is anonymous. But yeah, he was my crush from grade 5 all the way up until grade 8, grade 9. And then another thing happened with this guy. Shortly after that incident happened, he calls me up one weekend, and he's like, "Hey, Carpenter, why'd you call my house?" And I prank called his house as a 10-year-old girl. And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, I'm like, "What did you say? Did you just say you asked me out over the weekend? Did you say you wanted to hang out with me this weekend?" I'm like, "What?" I thought he was actually asking me out. That's when I misheard him. He didn't actually say that. He said like, "No, why'd you call my house over the weekend?" Because he's like mumbling, and I'm like, "No, I'm going to my dad's this weekend. I can't hang out at your house." He's like, "No, why did you call my house over the weekend?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Just a harmless little fun prank with my friend. Sorry, gotta go." And then I run away, and then I think him and his friends try to chase me, and they end up putting a June bug in my hair as revenge.
I don't even know what a June bug is.
Yeah, you know, one of those bugs you put in someone's hair, because I had the most hair out of all the girls in the class. And it was so embarrassing, and that was my embarrassing moment from when I was a kid. It was hilarious. Yeah, talk about embarrassing. I
don't think I really had embarrassing moments per se as a kid, like in public. I've done some really stupid things as a kid. Yeah. And one time I decided to microwave a burger.
Did you?
Like one of those frozen burgers?
Yeah.
I only did it for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I did one side, the other side was like all gooey and stuff. And I ended up eating it like that.
Oh,
no.
And my mom gave me shit for that. If she's watching, she'll like comment and tell you it's true.
Oh my God.
I did stupid shit like that. Or I used to eat, I don't know, some weird trend when we were kids, like eating Mr. Noodles raw out of the bag, seasoning it. It's a really stupid thing at one of my schools. Like they used to take the bags, get the seasoning, shake it up, and you're eating it like you're eating chips.
I used to eat Eggo waffles raw as a kid. Eggo waffles.
Okay, Eggo waffles and Mr. Noodles are things. So if you add water to Mr. Noodles in your stomach, you're gonna. Oof.
Oh, bloat right out. Oh boy, it's really bad. Yeah, that's bad. Oh boy, that's embarrassing. Actually, my nickname in grade 6 was Puff Daddy. Everyone named me Puff Daddy because I had a fro back then. I had a lot more hair than I do now because of all that dyeing I've done in my hair. You'll see in my modeling pictures. But I had a big frizz ball, and all the boys would be like, "Hey, Puff Daddy," and everything. And then you know what the funny thing is?
What?
my first encounter with this name, again, I'm not going to say the name, but the same name as my stalker, Mr. Bad Boy. There was a boy in grade 6 that bullied me a lot, and he had the same name as my stalker, who wronged me, and the bad boy who also left me stranded in Niagara Falls. So I have nothing but bad experiences with this person's name. That's what's funny.
And hello to
Tim, Rob, Sandy, and Becky. Thank you
Becky's
so much.
returning. She was on our first episode.
Yeah,
right?
she was. Thank you so much for commenting, guys. Thanks for the support. But yeah, those were basically our embarrassing moments. Anything you'd like to add?
That's what people commented?
No, that's like people viewing and they put the hearts
exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
and stuff.
Yeah.
We're a live show, remember?
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Right.
I have a bit of a story.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's regarding my first ever date, let's just say. And all right, just to clarify, things weren't good to begin with. Like it was a weird like Romeo and Juliet kind of relationship. Like it was
interesting.
It was like a relationship, but not really. So I mean, don't get mad at me if you're watching this. But so the way it goes is, so this girl, she doesn't really handle crowds all too well.
Okay, claustrophobic.
Yeah,
I can
definitely.
relate to that a little bit.
Definitely. So I had that bright idea. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna settle a score. Maybe like get back on the good side. I'm gonna take her downtown Toronto, busiest place in all of Toronto, Dundas Square.
Oh
like,
boy.
we are gonna watch the Sound of Music.
Oh, I love the Sound of Music. I was in there as a player. I was an actress in that at 9 years old. I played Martha Von Trapp. The second youngest kid. Yeah, I love the Sound of Music. Yeah.
So we were watching it, and then, I mean, she was having none of it. I was like, oh man, I really screwed up. But hey, that's the way it goes. So either way, we were watching like a 3-hour movie. It's really long, right?
Wow, crazy.
So we were watching it, and then we decided to leave early because the other one was working out. And then also there was a time where like, I don't know, like my confidence wasn't too high. So when I was talking to people, I was like sweating and all that fun stuff, So, but you know what? That's not the worst part. So, we decided like, I realized, okay, you know what? This relationship's over. Oh well, that's life. But so I hope, hey, maybe we just get back as friends. So
Interesting.
So all I had to do was just get home. Things will be fine. So we decided to take the bus, the TDC, and we went back down. Like we had to get on the interchange trains.
Yeah.
So to go onto the east-west line, we had to get off the train. And the thing is, the trains, our beautiful transit system, was
wonderfully beautiful, convenient, isn't it? Beautiful, so convenient, isn't it?
It wasn't working at the moment, so we had to take these shuttle buses. So they're
wonderful.
Yeah, so so the thing is, they jam pack.
Every shuttle.
Oh it's like popcorn jam pack in a bag.
On like rush hour time. So we figured, you know what? All right, this isn't good. She doesn't like crowds. And I'm digging myself in a hole. So may as well, you know what? Just call her dad and be like, hey, I need help. So,
oh my gosh.
So we decided to do that. Yeah. And I called up her dad. He's like, all right, you need to go south. So,
okie dokie.
So I was like, okay, you know what? We're on the largest road in North America, but I got this.
Young Street.
Young Street.
Yeah. That's right. Longest one. Yeah, that's right.
So we were walking, and it was like, all right, just go south. We're going to be all good. Everything's going to be fine. So we started walking, and we walked for a couple of kilometers. It's like, wait, why isn't this working? What's going on? Where's her dad? So then we decided to call him up, and it turns out we were walking south for a couple of kilometers, and she was not happy.
Oh, miserable.
Yeah, and it was cold outside.
What month was it? January?
I think so. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it must have been really cold.
It was
winter.
Pretty cold though.
Yeah.
No, it was around the fall.
November maybe.
Yeah. Maybe around October.
This time last year. Yeah.
It was pretty cold though.
Yeah.
But then, so she was not mad. Like her feet were sore.
Oh boy.
I was like,
no, it's awful.
I'm not gonna recover from this. So when I called up the dad. He's like, oh yeah, you messed up. All right, I'll just go north, pick you guys up. So I went over there and. On the ride home, I was like, man, this sucks. But
oh no!
But I honestly, it was the best date I've ever had. It was so much fun.
Oh yeah!
It's just. I don't know. I loved it.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, I'll say. wrong place, wrong time.
I did everything wrong that I should do in a date.
Wait a minute, no you didn't. At least you didn't leave her stranded the way Mr. Bad Boy left me stranded in Niagara Falls. That's not that bad.
Speaking of
That's true.
stranded, the last girl I went out with, I wouldn't really consider that, but she pretty much, like, you know, I know she's watching this too, so if I say she'll get mad, but I'll really care.
Okay.
She made me go home, and like very late at night, and there's no GO trains back from where she lived to Toronto.
Oh, I know this story. I
And
know
it's
who
like-
he's talking
and it's
about.
like-
Hobby,
And it's
I
like
know.
minus 20 outside, right?
Oh,
Very
boy.
cold up north, northern Ontario. I had to take a bus for like 7 hours back to Toronto. I didn't get back into Toronto like, I don't know, 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well
man,
then,
that
and you
was very
texted me the
annoying.
next day, I think, telling me all about what she put you through and how she basically used you, basically.
Oh yeah, because the next morning she dumped me.
Wonderful. Over text, right?
Yes.
Now you go over the phone.
Yes,
She
but-
needs to learn to grow a pair of balls.
But
A
the
woman pair. She
upside,
needs
like
to
I do
grow a
have
pair.
my first date I ever went on, that was the same day my sister was born.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one positive memory I have about that.
That's good.
But, but I don't really have anything else I really want to say in 5 minutes.
Well,
let's see.
the only other thing that I have that's embarrassing is, well, one time at a sleepover full of girls, I accidentally, let gas out through the rear end, not exactly ladylike.
So
That was pretty embarrassing. Everyone stares at me, and I was 14. And grade 9, I'm like, yeah, guys, that was me. So they're like, you, get out of the basement, it stinks. And if that was my grandmother passed away October 30th, 2016. I just wanted to dedicate this video to my grandma, but she would have said to me, go to the toilet, Emily. You're making terrible smells. Being British and being prim and proper, very, very prudish, And she would say, we don't want those smells. Just go to the bathroom. We don't want that around here. And, in England, we're told children are to be seen and not heard. That's how the stiff British upper lip goes. But anyway, I remember, in sometime in grade 4, I'll go back to my regular language, I think someone put a whoopee cushion, I'm pretty sure, on my desk. It was either me or somebody else. I can't quite remember, and I don't even think it was April Fool's Day, or it might have been. And at the same time, after either me or someone else sat on the whoopee cushion, we end up I see a secret admirer love note to Emily. It wasn't even Valentine. It might have been Valentine's Day. I can't remember. But they said, I admire you and I have a crush on you if I'm your secret admirer. And I'm like, my secret admirer put a whoopee cushion on my seat or my friend's seat to try and distract me? I mean, talk about weird. This was in like grade 4. I'm like, okay then. And then everybody in the class tried to guess who it was. I think it was somebody in the younger grade, and I didn't really like him in that way. Sorry if you're watching this, but I didn't have feelings for him in that regard.
Okay, Lisa,
So-
I read your comments. Rashid, good to see you back. Rachel
Yeah.
and Ravel. And Marshall, yes, answer your question. Yes, the rings show that we are, married.
Yeah, we are married, even though I'm not wearing my trench coat right now because so many blokes going
Also-
British again screwed me over before I met my husband.
I'm clear
Yes.
the third wheel here.
Yes, you are.
Definitely.
Oh, sorry,
A little
dear.
sad.
Well, you don't get to join the British Tea Party Club. I apologise on behalf of England. Anyway,
Man, a lot
dear.
of people have commented
Oh,
asking
well,
if we're
I'm very
married,
flattered. That's fantastic. I'm very
And
glad
also,
to hear.
I see Graham and Keegan, too.
Graham and Keegan?
Rugby for fun.
Yeah,
Rugby
yeah.
for fun. Oh, rugby for fun.
Yeah, Graham and Keegan are my roommates.
Oh,
Oh,
And-
you really?
And
Okay.
if you guys want to do Graham a big favor, he's an artist. He's actually into a musical class right now.
Oh, is he?
Nice.
That's awesome.
And it's
Nice.
really interesting to see his music progress and
That's
it's,
awesome.
so
well, if he wants to ever come in, he can come in.
Yes,
we'll
a
do
guest
YouTube,
speaker.
yeah.
Tell him to be a
he's
guest
actually
speaker.
he's actually in London right now.
Well, that's
But
fine. He can do
okay.
a voice,
Over
like
the
a video
phone?
thing, or
Over the
But
phone.
if-
What's up?
if you guys want to listen to his music, his SoundCloud is called G Baby. That's his name.
That's
G-Baby?
cool.
G-Baby.
Oh, nice,
Okay,
nice.
His
I'll
music's
put
really
that in
good.
the comments.
Good for
Sounds
him.
good. Yeah.
We'll put that in the comments. And don't forget to check out our Instagram, our Facebook page, and our YouTube, hubby.
Yep, Emily and Ray is our Instagram. Emily and Raymond shows our YouTube.
Emily and Raymond is our-
actually our Instagram. Emily and Ray is our Twitter.
Sorry
Also-
about that. Emily C. Official is my personal Instagram. Emily C. Glamour is my personal Twitter. Glamour for Canadian spelling. Glamour. And your personal
And
Instagram?
it's Rain Endport 31, and you'll see we got a lot of followers. If you want some help with followers, I can help you out with that too.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Oh,
Thank you
never
so
mind.
much, though. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate the
wait,
support.
wait.
Yes, continuing on.
Do you play rugby for fun?
I used to when I was younger.
Did you?
Yeah.
I tried it for a bit. I didn't really.
It's a great sport.
I was terrible
I
at
think
it.
I became more of the ball.
I was actually kind of a girly girl because every time someone would try and hit me with a dodgeball or rugby, it would be hit me in the chest, which as a female really, really hurts when you have balls being aimed at your chest.
Yeah, you're telling me
You
about
know what
that.
I mean? Yeah, I think I was. It was terrible.
Do you guys like Star Wars?
Not particularly. I'm not a big fan. Never watched much.
Are you a fan of BB-8?
What? What? What is that? What?
The robot.
I don't even know who that is.
BB-8, is that the new one?
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, I want to get that for Christmas.
Yeah,
but it's sold out like everywhere.
Oh yeah, they have it's really cool. They have an electromagnet on it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's electromagnet, and it just goes around the entire, like, if you have carpet or anything, it just goes around your house. Or
Yeah, it's like automated.
Yeah, it's really cool. But the thing is, though, I have a BB-8
Oh,
shirt.
nice.
Okay. Okay.
Nice, and that nice camera.
Alright. Really well. Nice that we got shirts.
That's why I got
shirts for the camera. I mean, I should be sitting next to you. Interesting shirts for the camera. Entertaining shirts. You're just a outcast wearing a boring, plain old sweater.
What do you mean? I'm wearing my
shirt.
chest under this too.
Very
you know,
boring.
My chest, you know?
Very boring looking. My goodness, you look like a nerd.
My wardrobe is not as diverse as yours.
Yes,
you know?
I know. That's why you don't fit in with us.
You want me to wear a dress next week?
Yes, please wear a dress or a kilt.
And on that note,
a kilt would be perfect with
Okay,
bagpipes.
okay.
Bring the bagpipes.
On that note, next week we plan to do a health-related episode. If you have any ideas, you want to anything you want to say,
mental
you want to
health,
come in.
emotional health.
And hopefully our buddy Quincy here will be back for the next episode too. It depends on
We'll see.
situations.
Yes.
And remember to like, follow, subscribe to Frequency 5 FM and also to us.
And I know a fellow actor of mine, Gavin Downs, if you're watching this, he wants to be a guest speaker on the show. He messaged me all about it.
Okay.
And I will tell him, please call, please. Next
Call.
Thursday, we'd love to have you on our show, Gavin. We'd love
If
to
you
have
want,
you.
even if it's health related, we can still do something.
Yeah,
like
we'll
that.
do something. I'm sure you can figure out something.
Yeah, that's fine.
He seems like a healthy guy, works out a lot.
Yeah.
Please,
Call in.
if you can call in, we'd really
Call in
appreciate
any
that.
guest
That'd be
speakers
awesome.
who want to call.
Please
you know.
call in. And my hubby got me this LG phone. If it wasn't for him, I'd still be stuck with a crappy Samsung.
All right, we went. Yeah, that's
Yes.
And remember, yes,
Thank
call
you so
in.
much.
The number is right behind our buddy Quincy here.
Yes, call in Frequency 5 FM.
647-857-4454.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your support.
I make a pretty good wall.
And on
Yeah,
behalf
pretty
of the
cool.
British girl and my hubby and our guest speaker. Indeed.
Fun fact, I just met him yesterday
What?
too.
Whisper.
Yeah,
Whisper.
yeah, we were
On
just
a
like
whisper
yesterday.
app.
A whisper,
We're good.
just like
And
we met on
thank
whisper.
you guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.